Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Padashritanancha samastachauram Shri Radhikaya Hridayasya Chauram Neelambujashyamal Kanti Chauram Chauragraganyam Purusham Namami. Hridam bhoje Krishna sajal jaladashyamal tanu sarojakshah sragvi mukut katkadyaabharanvan Sharadrakanath pratimavdanah Shri Muralikan Vahandhyeyo Gopi Ganaparivritah Kumkumachitah Aho Chitram Aho Chitram Vande Tat Prema Bandhanam Yad Baddham Muktidam Muktam Brahma Krida Bhrigi Kritam Yo Brahmanam Vidadhati Purvam Yo Vai Vedanscha Prahinoti Tasmai Tagvangha Devamatma Buddhi Prakasham Mumukchurvai Sharanamaham Prapadye. Dear devotees, for the last couple of sessions I've been explaining to you two of the shloks of Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji's Shikshashtak. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamaye mama janmani janmani shware bhavatad bhaktirahaitu ki tvai. In this shlok, Mahaprabhuji, although he himself is the avatar of Radha Krishna, he's praying to Krishna, showing us the example of what type of devotional attitude to develop. So he tells us, do not ask for anything. Or in his words, he's saying, Krishna, I'm not asking for anything from you. I only want to be selflessly devoted to you. So please, if you're going to give me something, give me selfless love for you. And he gives an example of such selfless love in another shlok that we covered. Ashlishya va padartam pinashtuma madarshanan marmahatang karotu va yatha tatha va vidadhatu lampato mat prananathastu saiva parah. In this verse, he's challenging Shri Krishna that I have selfless love for you, which means that no matter how you treat me, my love will only go on increasing. Even if you turn your face against me, even if you ignore me completely, or whether you shower your affection on me, in any case, that won't affect my love, because my love is not dependent upon your behavior. So this is an example of ahaituki prem, unconditional love. This type of attitude is somewhat difficult for us to understand as people who are used to loving with a selfish interest in this world. So I've been explaining, practically speaking, what knowledge do we need to understand in order to be able to actually develop these devotional sentiments. And part of what we've been focusing on is where Mahaprabhuji says, don't ask for anything from Shri Krishna. Krishna, I'm not asking you for anything. This is difficult for many people, but it's really the first step in devotion. If someone hasn't accepted that, Krishna, I'm not going to ask you for anything. Whatever comes in my life, I'll deal with it. And in fact, I'll take it as your prasad. Until we make that decision, our love for God and our faith in God will go on fluctuating with the ups and downs in the world. So as part of understanding that these ups and downs are a part of life in the world, and we don't need to get upset by them, we don't need to become elated when something good happens, nor depressed when something bad happens. As understanding all of this, I've been explaining the philosophy in relation to the current health situation in the world with regard to the coronavirus, and something that everybody all over the world is undergoing and experiencing changes in their lifestyle and inconveniences and uncertainty and in some cases fear. So how do we approach this situation from a spiritual perspective? We need proper tattva gyan. So let me provide one more bit of information for you that will help you maintain a larger perspective on the situation, which will make it easier for you to remain calm and devotional and not ask God for anything. So, people of my generation, since World War II, we could say, haven't experienced many things in our lives that bring the kind of uncertainty that we're seeing now. Most of us have never had to alter our lifestyle because of any kind of situation. Most of us have never been told by the government, you can do this and you can't do that. Stay home. But actually in other places in the world, this type of inconvenience, loss of personal liberties, this type of uncertainty, when is it going to end, how long is it going to last? For some people living at certain places in the world, this is normal. People deal with these kind of things all the time. And we here in America, at least my generation, hasn't had to deal with this. So this is something new for us, and we think it's a big deal. It's not that big of a deal. Let's take a larger perspective. If you look at just the last few million years on this earth, there have been numerous ice ages, volcanoes, meteor strikes, earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes, so many different calamities that strike the earth and affect the people living here. Some are much larger, like an ice age. The effect of an ice age on the humans living on earth is tremendous. Or a pandemic, such as we're experiencing now, that has some effect, not as big. Tidal waves, tsunamis, volcanoes, all of these things affect people, and they come and go. This is a natural part, a natural process of the Mayic world. It's always going to keep producing these types of calamities, bigger or smaller. A lot of people might even be worried about apocalypse. Now, in the philosophy of Sanatana Dharma, apocalypse does not have the same meaning as people take it to have here in the Western world. In the Western world, when people think of the apocalypse, they think of the end of everything forever. But in the philosophy of Sanatana Dharma, there's no such thing as something ending forever. Because everything that exists has existed since eternity and will go on existing since eternity. We've already covered this, the three eternal existences: God, the souls, and Maya. All three are eternally existing. And I've also explained to you that Maya goes through a cycle of Srishti and Pralay. Srishti meaning the manifestation of the universe, and Pralay meaning the dissolution of the universe, which happens over and over and over again, an endless eternal cycle. So what it means is the apocalypse or Pralay is just a temporary break. Nothing is finished forever. So imagine on the largest level, there's a pralay of this entire universe that will happen one day, and which has happened uncountable times in the past. And look, we're all still here. We're worried about one little pandemic. We've survived Mahapralay, uncountable times in the past. We ourselves have died uncountable times because we've lived infinite lifetimes, which means we've also died infinite times, and we're still here. So just to give you the perspective of the cycles of time, let me share some math with you that our scriptures tell us about the cycles of time and the different types of pralay. Most of these numbers you won't remember, which is fine, but let me just run them by you so you get a little larger scope of perspective on the world that we live in. Most people know that we currently live in Kali Yuga. There are 4 yugs or 4 ages that we live through, and those also cycle. It starts with Satyug, then goes to Treta Yuga, then to Dwapar Yuga, then to Kali Yuga, then again back to Satyug. A lot of people think there's a pralay after Kali Yuga because Kali Yuga is the materialistic age where the bad qualities in people's minds are much more prominent. So there are many more problems in the world, in the society, in Kali Yuga. And it gets worse and worse through Kali Yuga. So a lot of people think, oh, there must be a pralay at the end of Kali Yuga. No, at the end of Kali Yuga, Satyug starts again. Satyug is considered to be the yuga where the good qualities are the most prominent. Then little less in Treta Yuga, even less, like 50-50 in Dwapar Yuga, and now in Kali Yuga, the bad is more and the good is less. But this is also a cycle that goes on and on. Kali Yuga is the shortest of the 4 yugs, and yet it still lasts 432,000 years. Dwapar Yuga is twice as long, 864,000 years. Treta Yuga is 3 times as long as Kali Yuga. 1,296,000 years. And Satyug is 4 times as long as Kalyug, 1,728,000 years. So if you add up all 4 yugs, to pass through those 4 yugs, one cycle of the 4 yugs, it's 4,320,000 years. That's just one cycle. And in that one cycle, although there may be ice ages and earthquakes and so on, there's no pralay. In other words, there's uninterrupted life on earth. Okay, so one time around the 4 yugs is 4.32 million years. That's called a Chaturyugi. Chatuhu means 4. So there's 4 yugs, one Chaturyugi, one time around the 4 yugas. How many Chaturyugis does it take? Well, there's the next bigger unit of time measurement after a Chaturyugi is called a Manvantar. A Manvantar is considered to be an hour in Brahma's day. Brahma, the one who was responsible for completing the creation of our Brahmand, 1 hour in his day is 71 times around these 4 yugs. So 71 Chaturyugis is 1 hour in Brahma's day. That is called a Manvantar. In the current Manvantar, we are in the 28th Kalyug. We're in the 28th Chaturyugi out of 71 in this Manvantar. So you can say a Chaturyugi, those are like minutes in Brahma's hour. So 71 minutes in Brahma's hour and 14 hours in his day, because there are 14 Manvantars. So right now we're in the 28th minute of the 7th hour of Brahma's current day, which is actually the first day of his 51st year. Why am I telling you all of this? Because only after a Manvantar is there sometimes a pralay. A Manvantar is 306,720,000 years. After a Manvantar, sometimes, not every time, sometimes there's a big flood that not only floods the earth, but even the lower abodes of Swarg. That's called a Manvantar Pralay. So at that time, human civilization is wiped from the earth. And after the Manvantar Pralay, when the next Manvantar starts, there's a Manu. So Manu restarts human civilization. Manu is a divine personality who's assigned as one of the rulers of earth and lower Swarga abodes. Our current Manu is called Vaivaswat Manu. There's a different Manu, a different divine personality assigned in each Manvantar. So you see, we're a long way from any type of pralay happening. We're in the 28th Kalyug. After 71 Kalyugs, 71 times around these 4 Manvantars, then there may be a Manvantar Pralay. That too, it doesn't happen each and every time. Okay, after 14 Manvantars, which is also equivalent to 1,000 times around the 4 yugs. In other words, 4,320,000,000 years. This is 1 day of Brahma. Then there's a Kalp Pralay. That happens definitely. After every day of Brahma, there's a Kalp Pralay where there is no life on earth. So a total break of any type of living existence on earth. And that lasts for Brahma's whole night, which is 4.32 billion years. Then what happens? Brahma begins life again on earth. This is just 1 day and night of Brahma. His day is 4.32 billion years. His night is 4.32 billion years. So it adds up to 8.64 billion years. During his night, we also get a rest. We stay inside of God and we wait for the next day of Brahma to begin. And then according to the karma of our past, most recent life, we again are given a birth here on earth. During that kalp pralay, there's a total renovation and rejuvenation of the entire earth planet. It's like starting fresh. Even the Manvantar pralay, the flood, causes us to start fresh as well. But the kalp pralay is a total renovation and rejuvenation, start from scratch. So, see, the Manvantar pralay happens after a Manvantar. That may happen 14 times in a day of Brahma. Then Brahma's one day called a kalp. At the end of that, there's a kalp pralay. How long does Brahma live for? Well, there are 360 days in Brahma's 1 year. So 8.64 billion years for us is 1 day and night of Brahma. Multiply that by 360 days. That's 1 year of Brahma. And Brahma rules for 100 years. So it comes to 311 trillion 40 billion years. And so far, Brahma's 50 years have passed. So that's 155 trillion 520 billion years. Exactly half the total lifespan of our earth planet has passed. And in that time, Brahma has had 18,000 days, which means there have been 18,000 kalp pralays. We've restarted 18,000 times just in the lifespan of this earth planet. And even within this day of Brahma, in which there are 14 manvantars, we're in the 7th manvantar. So we've already had 6 manvantar pralays, potentially. In this particular manvantar, out of 71 times around the 4 yugas, we've only had 28 times around. So we still have millions of years until the next Manvantar Pralay. And the Kalp Pralay, well, we're at 7 out of 14 Manvantars. That means we're about 2 billion years into Brahma's current day. We have about 2 billion more to go until the end of this day of Brahma, when there is a total Pralay, meaning a Kalp Pralay. And then at the end of Brahma's life, at the end of his 100 years, then there's a final pralay of our earth planet called a prakrit pralay. So our earth is finished at that point. Our solar system may become our sun may become a dwarf star, or our solar system may become a black hole. Whatever are the cosmic processes and different options, scientists know at that point what happens at the finish, at the end, the prakrit pralay of a Brahman. So then what happens to those souls? Well, they're in this endless universe. Sa ek eveshwara narayano khila brahmandadhipati rekonshaha. Radhikopanishad says there are akhila brahmand, there are infinite brahmans, infinite planetary systems in this universe. There are, everywhere in this universe right now, there are countless brahmans that are ending after Brahma's 100 years, and there are countless brahmans that are beginning somewhere in this universe. So when our Brahman finishes in another 155 trillion 520 billion years, then we can be born in any other Brahman, because the soul is sarvagataha. It can go anywhere instantly. God can have us be born anywhere in this universe. Now, you see the larger perspective of the universe and our Brahmand and the cycles of time within our Brahmand, and you understand that one little pandemic is not really much to worry about. Yeah, it's something new for us. It's something new to have to experience these, like I said, we have less freedom, less social liberties right now, more inconvenience, more uncertainty. And in general, people don't consider any of those to be good things. But it's a new experience, and it's not something to get upset about. It's a very small thing in the larger scheme of things, and this too shall pass. So we don't have to worry about it. Just stay calm. We don't even have to pray to God about it. Our goal remains the same: purify our heart through attaching it to Radha Krishna and become God-realized in this life. That's what we should be praying about. Whatever comes and goes, whatever small or large calamities come and go in this world and in our life, just take them as the grace of God. Don't bother God about it. Please help me with this. Oh, I don't like this. Fix that. Whatever it is, it may be for the best in the long term. We don't even know what is in our best interest. God knows. So leave all of that up to Him. Obey what the government is saying, follow the guidelines, but don't worry about it. Focus your mind on devotion. So with such knowledge, we can understand, or we can implement the practice of not asking God for anything. Along with not asking Him for anything, we also want to even rise to another level of love and devotion for Him, which is loving Him unconditionally. This is ahaituki prem. When we love Him unconditionally, it means we're not loving Him for any reason other than, I am yours and you are mine. That's it. I belong to you. What else do I have to know? Let me give you one example in the world. Let's say there's a mother who has a child who has some deformity. So to look at the child, if there was a beauty contest, the child would not win the beauty contest. Now let's say the mother goes to a big mela. And in that mela, there are so many people, such a huge crowd, and somehow she gets separated from her child. So she goes to the police station that's been set up in that area to manage this huge mela. And she goes and sees, oh, is my child here? Has anyone brought any missing children over? I'm looking for my child. The police say, oh, we have 4 kids right here. Is any of these your child? And all of these kids are beautiful, well-formed children. The mother is feeling so much sadness, so much distress because she's separated from her child. She sees each of the 4 faces of these 4 beautiful children. Now, although we normally say that we love people, most of us will love someone because they are beautiful, right? People who fall in love, initially, why do they fall in love? They like the way the other person looks. But in this case, the mother is not interested in these children's beauty. These children are beautiful, and physically speaking, her child may be ugly. And yet, looking at these 4 beautiful children, the mother is not getting any happiness whatsoever. She says, no, none of these are mine. And she's even more upset than she was before. And just then, they bring in her child. And the police are thinking, she could have chosen any of these kids. She could have said, this one, this handsome boy is mine. And had a beautiful child, left with a beautiful child. She wasn't interested in the child's beauty. She wanted the child that belonged to her. She was attached to her child out of a sense of belonging, not because of her child's beauty or lack of beauty. So this is an example of someone who, she's loving that child not because of the quality of the child's beauty, but because she feels this child is mine. That is the source of her love. Now that doesn't mean that this mother has true unconditional love for her child, because she will still have some hidden desires from her child, that my child should love me, my child should make me happy, etc., etc. There are many desires hidden away in the mother's mind. But this is an example of how that feeling of this is mine. That's one way. Now take that example and apply that to Shri Krishna. Krishna, I don't love you because of what you give me, or because of how you help me, or even because you're beautiful or blissful. I love you because you are mine. There's no one else that I belong to. You and I have been together forever, and we will be together forever. When I leave my body at the end of this life, you're the only one who will come with me, because nobody else is truly related to me. You are my only true relation. So when we feel that, Krishna, I belong to you and you are mine. That is why I love you. Where else would I go? This can help us start to develop that feeling of unconditional love for Shri Krishna. It doesn't matter how you treat me. It doesn't matter what you give me or don't give me. I love you because that's my nature. It's my nature to love you because you are the only one who is mine. Parvati showed us an example of this. I told you I would share some examples. Today we have only time for one such example. When Parvati used to be called Sati, she had left her body and she came back as Parvati. So when she came back, she wanted to get married to Bhagwan Shivji again. So she decided to go off into the mountains and do severe austerities and devotion to God Shiva. So for a long period of time, renouncing everything, she just sat in loving remembrance of Shivji. Now, for the benefit of the world, everybody wanted Shiv and Parvati to get together again. So Saptarshi, the 7 original rishis, they went to Parvati to give her a little test of her love for Bhagwan Shiv. Is she worthy of him? So they went to her and said, "Oh, Mataji, why are you so set on marrying Shivji? Don't you know that he doesn't really have anything that could make you happy? Let me explain." They told her, he doesn't live in a house. He lives on Mount Kailash. It's not like he lives in a beautiful palace or anything. He doesn't even have a house. He just sits on a tiger skin and up in the snow on Mount Kailash. He doesn't even have proper clothes to wear. What is he going to provide for you? On top of that, have you ever seen how is he decorated? His amangal bhesh? His inauspicious decorations, he's famous for that. I mean, he's covered in ash and his hair is all matted on his head and he's got scorpions and snakes around on his body. So, why do you want to marry him? One other thing, he won't pay you any attention. He's always in his divine samadhi, absorbed in his blissful state. So why do you want to marry Shivji? You should marry Vishnuji instead. He has all the wealth. You can stay in his big palace. Look how nicely he's dressed. He'll treat you properly, give you proper attention. You'll get everything that can make you happy from Vishnu. So give up this idea of marrying Shiva and set your mind on marrying Vishnu. So Parvati said, Janma koti lagi ragari hamari, barau shambhu naturahau kuwari. She said, oh my dear Maharshis, even if Shivji doesn't love me back, even if he doesn't want to marry me, even if I never get to marry him, I will only keep doing devotion to him. Even if it takes millions and millions of lifetimes, my mind will never deviate from him. I will remain kunwari, I will remain unmarried, but I will remain devoted to him only. And if he accepts me, if he wants to marry me, then I will happily marry him. And if he doesn't, I will continue to devote myself to him and remain single. So Saptarshi saw, okay, she passed the test of Ahituki Prem. And they went back and told Shankarji, and then it was arranged to get them married. So this is an example of how we shouldn't focus on what can we get from Krishna. Although that, as I mentioned previously, that may be the beginning of our devotion for him. Initially we learn that, oh, happiness isn't in the world. I can get happiness from Krishna. So we start there, but then we rise to the next level. When we're doing devotion, instead of focusing on what I can get from Krishna, we should focus on our eternal relationship with him. What I get or don't get, what does it matter? He alone is mine. So I should love him no matter what happens in my life, no matter is he going to give me something or not give me something. I love him because he is mine. This is one practical way to inculcate this selfless love. Even though it's not initially in our nature, this is a way, if you think about this in your devotion, you can start developing a hint of this Ahituki Prem, and then with the grace of the Guru, it will continue to develop more and more. So more along these lines, some more examples of Ahituki Prem, as well as, today I didn't get a chance to answer the questions that have been posed on our YouTube channel, so please keep sending more questions, and next week I'll explain those answers as well. बोलिए वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की